The Galactic Empire was at its strongest. For decades, its fleets had ruled the stars, and no one dared challenge its might. On the bridge of the flagship Imperial Dawn, Admiral Kale strode back and forth, a sense of pride in his posture. Around him, hundreds of officers monitored their stations, all busy celebrating their latest victory against the outer systems. The Empire's enemies were scattered and weak, crushed under the weight of superior weapons and strategy. Yet, in the midst of this celebration, a young officer named Lior noticed something unusual. He had joined the Empire only a few years ago, but his mind was sharp and his instincts sharper. His station flashed with an unfamiliar signal on the long-range scanners. It was faint, almost invisible among the usual traffic of stars and ships, but it was there. Lior studied it carefully, tracing its movements across the galactic map. Something was moving, and it was coming closer. "Sir," Lior said, his voice steady but urgent, "I'm picking up an unidentified fleet approaching the perimeter. They are using unknown energy signatures. This is not a normal patrol or any known enemy formation." Admiral Kale glanced at the screen, his brow furrowed. He was used to warnings, and usually, they were nothing more than false alarms. "Lior, are you sure?" he asked, his tone mixing skepticism with irritation. "This fleet is nowhere on our threat lists. It could be a sensor error. Or perhaps a minor pirate group. Do not cause unnecessary alarm." Lior shook his head. "Sir, it is not a sensor error. Their movement patterns are too precise, too calculated, and their speed, faster than anything we have seen. I believe we are observing something beyond our understanding." Kale sighed. He wanted to dismiss it, but something in Lior's eyes made him pause. Still, he waved a hand, signaling the young officer to continue monitoring, but not to alert the rest of the fleet. Kale returned to his pacing, trying to enjoy the victory celebrations, but unease crept into his mind. Meanwhile, the crew was busy with their usual routines. Messages from distant systems reported on the Empire's growing influence. Officers laughed, shared stories, and toasted to the future. None of them noticed the subtle flicker of the scanners or the faint shadow that moved like a ghost through the star lanes. None, except Lior. Hours passed, and the signal grew stronger. Lior analyzed every detail, every blip, every movement pattern. The unknown fleet did not resemble anything in the Empire's records. It had no standard formation, no predictable path. It was as if the ships knew exactly where the Empire would position its fleets and avoided them completely. Lior's heart pounded as he realized the truth. This was not a pirate raid, nor a rebellion. This was something far more advanced. Something deadly. He rushed to Kale. "Sir, we cannot ignore this. They are calculating our every move. Our sensors suggest they have technology beyond our comprehension. If we do not act, our fleets could be wiped out before we even engage." Kale frowned. He had faced many threats in his life, but he had never felt the cold grip of fear like this. Yet, he was a commander, and hesitation was dangerous. "Prepare a report for the Council. But do not spread panic. We are the Empire. We do not fear shadows in the dark." Lior nodded, though inside, a storm of worry raged. He returned to his station, eyes glued to the scanners. The unknown fleet was getting closer. Its energy signatures pulsed like heartbeat rhythms, almost alive. He could see faint shapes of enormous ships, moving with precision that no Empire training could match. In a distant sector, the unknown force made its first subtle move. A small patrol was destroyed in an instant, vaporized before any warning could reach the Empire's main fleet. On the bridge, alarms began to ring faintly, but Kale dismissed them at first, thinking it a simulation glitch. Lior's voice rose above the din. "Sir, they have struck. The patrol, it's gone. They destroyed it in seconds. Weapons did not even touch them." Kale froze. The celebration ended abruptly. Officers scrambled to analyze the reports, their faces pale with disbelief. "Impossible," one muttered. "No fleet can move this fast. No weapons can fail like this. Lior watched as fear began to spread among the crew. Yet even in the chaos, he stayed calm. He had warned them, but he knew the real challenge was only beginning. Whoever this force was, they were watching, calculating, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. And the Empire, for all its power, was blind to the true danger. The young officer's mind raced. He tried to imagine what kind of beings could build such ships. Humans? No, that was impossible. Aliens? Perhaps, but these signatures suggested intelligence and strategy far beyond anything the Empire had catalogued. He did not have answers, only questions, and a deep sense of dread. And then, just as the fleet began to organize a response, the unknown ships vanished from the sensors. Just like that. No warning, no trace, no debris. It was as if they had never existed. The bridge was silent, officers staring at the empty screens, hearts pounding. Lior knew the worst was yet to come. The shadow that had touched them was not finished. It was only the beginning. Admiral Kale finally spoke, his voice low, almost a whisper. Prepare all fleets. Whatever this is, it will return. And next time, we may not be so lucky. Lior's eyes remained on the empty space where the enemy had vanished. A shiver ran down his spine. The Empire had faced countless threats, but this one was different. And for the first time, he wondered if even the might of the Galactic Empire was enough to survive the coming storm. The morning after the mysterious disappearance, the Galactic Empire was tense. Officers moved quickly on the bridges of their fleets, running checks and recalibrating weapons. Admiral Kale called an emergency council. Holographic maps floated above the table, showing the regions where the unknown fleet had been sighted. Every sector they examined was empty now, yet the memory of the destroyed patrol lingered like a shadow. Lior stood at Kale's side, reviewing sensor data again. They are fast, sir, he said quietly. Their speed and maneuvering are beyond our calculations. And the energy signatures, they leave no trace. They can strike anywhere, anytime. Kale nodded grimly. We need to show strength. Gather the main fleet. We cannot let this phantom attack our systems again. We will find them, and we will destroy them. Hundreds of Imperial ships moved into position near the edge of the outer rim. The fleet was large, powerful, and well prepared, or so they thought. In the control room, Lior could see the excitement among some officers. They believed in their technology, their training, their unmatched weapons. They laughed, compared ship models, and discussed past victories. But Lior noticed something troubling. There was no plan for the unknown. No strategy for an enemy that could appear and vanish at will. Hours passed. The fleet was ready, weapons charged, engines humming. Then the first warning lights flashed across the bridge of the flagship Imperial Dawn. Sensors detected movement, hundreds of blips approaching at impossible speeds. Lior's stomach tightened. Sir, they are here. The fleet. It is coming straight at us. Admiral Kale's face turned hard. All weapons ready. Engage the enemy, on my command. He turned to the crew, voice firm. Show them the power of the Empire. But before the command could fully reach the weapon systems, the unknown force struck. The first human-built ship appeared out of nowhere, glowing with energy unlike anything in the Empire's records. Its weapons fired before the Empire could respond. The first wave of Imperial ships was obliterated in seconds. Explosions lit up the void, hulls disintegrating into dust before even raising shields. Alarms screamed, consoles sparked, and chaos erupted. Lior watched in horror. They bypass our defenses, he muttered. Our weapons aren't working. Focus on survival. Kale shouted, his voice barely audible over the alarms. Do not let them surround us. But it was too late. The unknown fleet moved like shadows, weaving through the Empire's formations with deadly precision. Every counterattack failed. Torpedoes passed harmlessly through the enemy ships, energy beams deflected, and the fleet's own formations became a trap as the attackers predicted every move. A young lieutenant screamed as her ship was torn apart. Nearby vessels tried to regroup, but the unknown fleet anticipated each maneuver, striking key targets in perfect order. Bridges were destroyed, communications lost, and panic spread like wildfire. Lior ran between stations, trying to coordinate defenses. He shouted warnings, suggested new tactics, but every plan the Empire tried collapsed instantly. It was as if the enemy knew the future. Every movement, every decision, every command, they were always one step ahead. "Admiral," Lior yelled, "they are not just fast, they are calculating. Every attack we try, they expect it. We can't beat them with normal tactics." Kale's face was pale but determined. "We have faced threats before, Lior. We will survive this. We must." But the reality was grim. Within minutes, half the fleet was gone. Entire squadrons vanished in bursts of energy. Holographic maps showed massive gaps where the ships had been. Engineers on the bridge struggled to keep the remaining vessels operational, but even they realized the fight was hopeless. Lior's eyes were glued to the sensors. Among the chaos, he noticed a pattern. The unknown fleet attacked in waves, always striking the most vulnerable points first, then retreating slightly before reappearing elsewhere. It was terrifyingly methodical. Whoever commanded these ships was not just strong, they were brilliant. "Sir, they are regrouping for another strike," Lior warned. "We may not survive the next wave." Kale clenched his fists. "Then we hit back with everything we have. Do not give up." But even as the order was given, the unknown fleet executed its second wave with perfect timing. Entire fleets of human-built ships moved in like ghosts, destroying what remained of the Empire's forces. Ships exploded in dazzling displays of light, shields melted instantly, and the soundless void was filled with destruction. The Empire's pride and confidence were being shredded in real time. Finally, silence fell. The unknown fleet disappeared once again, leaving nothing but wreckage and burning debris. Bridges were shattered, commanders dead, and the once mighty fleet reduced to scattered survivors drifting through the void. Lior stared at the empty space on the sensors, chest heaving. The Empire had lost thousands of ships and even more lives in minutes. Admiral Kale turned to the few remaining officers, voice heavy with disbelief. They are not just a threat. They are something beyond our understanding. We underestimated them, and we paid the price." Lior shook his head, feeling a chill that would not go away. He had predicted danger, but nothing could have prepared him, or the Empire, for this. Whoever these humans were, they had just shown the galaxy that even the strongest power could be destroyed in the blink of an eye. Kale's eyes scanned the wreckage, lingering on the horizon where the enemy had vanished. "This is only the beginning," he said. "And if we are not careful, it may be the end of everything we have built." Lior remained silent, knowing deep down that the Empire had faced an enemy it could not comprehend. Somewhere out there, in the darkness of space, the unknown force waited. And when it returned, there would be no warning, no mercy, and no escape. The Galactic Empire reeled from its devastating loss. Across the star systems, news of the attack spread like wildfire. Entire fleets had vanished, officers and soldiers lost in seconds, and the once mighty Empire now seemed vulnerable. On the flagship Imperial Dawn, silence filled the bridge. The few surviving officers stared at the empty screens, haunted by what they had just witnessed. Lior moved carefully among the wrecked consoles, scanning debris and sensor readings. "We need to understand what we faced," he said quietly. "If we do not, it could happen again. And next time, we may not survive." Admiral Kale nodded slowly. He had always relied on brute strength, superior weapons, and careful strategy. But none of that had helped against this unknown force. "I want every report, every sensor log, and every scrap of data from the destroyed ships," he ordered. "We must find even the smallest clue about who, or what, attacked us." The Empire's best scientists were called to analyze the debris collected from the battle zones. They worked day and night, examining fragments of ships that had been vaporized. Strange materials resisted all conventional tests. Energy readings from the destroyed vessels were unlike anything the Empire had catalogued. The metals were stronger than any alloy, the energy fields adaptive, shifting in ways that no known technology could replicate. "Sir," one scientist said, pointing at the readings, "this is unprecedented. It is not just weapons superior to ours, they think faster than our systems. Every strike is calculated before we even react. These are not just ships. They are intelligence in motion." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Are you suggesting these are not machines, but controlled by beings capable of anticipating our every move?" The scientist hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, Admiral. Whoever controls these vessels has knowledge beyond our understanding. It is not impossible that humans built this. But if they did, it would break every rule of known science." Lior stepped forward, heart racing. He had suspected humans might be involved, based on intelligence reports from the outer colonies. He had even warned Kale before the first strike, but no one had believed him. Now, the evidence was undeniable. "Sir," he said, "I told you. Humans are capable of building ships like these. I have seen colonies quietly advancing in technology beyond what the Empire allows. This could be them." Kale turned sharply. "Humans. They have been controlled and monitored for decades. No colony could build warships capable of this. Are you saying they are a hidden threat?" Lior nodded slowly. "Not hidden. We ignored them. And now they have struck. If we study the debris carefully, we may find patterns in their construction. Their designs may reveal their strategy, their thinking. We need to understand how they outsmarted our fleet." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Imperial spies were dispatched to scout regions where humans had colonies. They reported back cautiously, describing signs of advanced shipyards, silent operations, and structures capable of building enormous warships. Yet the colonies were calm, almost invisible. Lior studied their reports and noticed something curious. None of the fleets detected from these regions were hostile. Instead, their movements were subtle, precise, almost patient. Lior gathered a small team of analysts. They pored over the attack logs, energy readings, and debris patterns. Slowly, a picture began to emerge. The unknown fleet did not attack randomly. They targeted weaknesses, avoided traps, and struck with perfect timing. Every move was deliberate, almost like a game of strategy on a galactic scale. "Sir," Lior said, pointing at a holographic model, "look here. Every attack bypassed our strongest ships and destroyed the most vulnerable. They calculate risk and reward perfectly. It is not just firepower. It is intelligence guiding them. Whoever these humans are, they are thinking 10 steps ahead." Kale's jaw tightened. "If this is true, we are no longer the rulers of the stars. We are being observed, tested, and perhaps toyed with." Lior's mind raced. He imagined the humans, quietly building, quietly planning, waiting for the right moment. Their technology was advanced, but it was more than that. It was discipline, intelligence, and strategy perfected over years. Every colony, every shipyard, every design was part of a larger plan the Empire had never noticed. The council met again, tension heavy in the room. Imperial leaders argued and debated, but none had the answer. They could build bigger fleets, develop more powerful weapons, but Lior knew it would not be enough. The humans had already proven that raw force was useless. They needed intelligence, observation, and planning, qualities the Empire had ignored in their arrogance. At night, Lior stood on the observation deck of the Imperial Dawn, staring at the stars. Somewhere out there, the humans moved silently, invisible and deadly. He could feel their presence like a shadow over the galaxy. The Empire had underestimated them, and now the cost had been paid in thousands of lives and destroyed ships. But Lior also felt a spark of determination. If the humans could think ahead, so could the Empire. If they could strike with precision, so could they. The question was how long it would take to catch up, and if there would even be time. As the stars glimmered above, A faint signal appeared on Lior's console. It was weak, almost undetectable. But it was deliberate. Someone, somewhere, was sending a message, a warning, or perhaps a test. Lior's heart pounded as he realized the humans were not finished. They were watching, calculating, and preparing for the next move. And this time, the Empire could no longer act blindly. Lior whispered to himself, almost in awe, "They are not just a threat, they are the future." Weeks passed since the devastating attack, and the Empire was still reeling. Admiral Kale paced the bridge of the Imperial Dawn, reviewing every report, every sensor log, and every communication from the scouts sent to human colonies. The galaxy seemed quieter now, but the silence was eerie. It was not peace, it was waiting. Lior stood at his station, eyes scanning the vast star charts. "Sir, we have picked up unusual activity near the Zyra sector," he reported. "It matches the energy signatures from the attack. There are large structures, possibly shipyards, but they are hidden. Minimal emissions. Almost impossible to detect." Kale frowned, his mind racing. Hidden. They've been building these fleets under our noses? And we never noticed. Lior shook his head. The colonies were quiet. We assumed humans were under control. But these are not normal fleets. They are massive, faster, stronger than anything we have catalogued. And judging by the layout, they are ready for war, but waiting for something. Or someone. Kale's jaw tightened. "Send the scouts closer. I want confirmation. If humans are building a fleet like this, it changes everything." The Empire dispatched stealth probes and scout ships, moving carefully to avoid detection. Hours passed, then days. Reports trickled back, each more astonishing than the last. The humans had constructed enormous vessels, warships larger than anything the Empire had ever imagined. Their designs were sleek, almost organic in shape, with energy fields that shimmered like liquid light. Weapons were mounted in unusual patterns, suggesting strategies the Empire had never considered. One scout, barely escaping detection, sent a final report before being destroyed. "The fleet, it is ready. Do not underestimate them. They are beyond belief." Kale stared at the projection of the ships on the bridge, his face pale. "Lior, is this real? How can humans build such weapons without our knowledge?" Lior studied the data carefully. "They have been planning this for decades, sir. Quietly advancing their technology, building ships in secret, training their crews. And they waited for the perfect moment to strike. The first attack, it was a test. And now, the full fleet is ready." Kale slammed a fist on the table. "A test? They destroyed our patrols and fleets just to see how we respond." Lior nodded. "It seems so. And judging by the speed and precision, they are already calculating our every move. They know our strategies before we even issue orders." The council was called once again. Leaders argued heatedly, struggling to understand the magnitude of the threat. Some insisted on immediate retaliation, sending fleets to destroy the human colonies before they could expand further. Others warned caution, noting that any attack might trigger a response even more devastating than before. Kale listened, silent, as Lior analyzed the data and presented patterns. "Sir," Lior said firmly, "attacking now would be foolish. The humans are not just powerful, they are intelligent. Every move we make, they predict. If we strike blindly, we will lose even more fleets." The room fell silent. Leaders exchanged uneasy glances. For the first time, they realized the truth. The humans were not a simple threat. They were a force the Empire could not easily defeat. Lior turned to Kale. "We need to understand them. Study their tactics, their fleet formations, even their colonies. If we can anticipate their strategy, we might have a chance. But we cannot underestimate them." Kale's mind raced. The Empire had faced countless enemies, but none had shown such patience, intelligence, and power. "Prepare a task force," he ordered. "I want a detailed plan to observe, analyze, and learn everything about this fleet. No engagement yet. We cannot afford mistakes. As night fell over the flagship, Lior stayed at his station, studying the human fleet projections. He could almost see the ships moving in formation, silent, deadly, and perfectly coordinated. Each vessel seemed to complement the other, like pieces of a giant puzzle. He realized the humans had thought of everything: speed, firepower, strategy, and surprise. A faint signal suddenly appeared on the scanners, a coded message, weak but deliberate. Lior leaned closer, heart pounding. "Sir, there's a transmission. Someone, somewhere, is sending a signal. It's not directed at us, but they know we are observing." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Can we decode it?" Lior nodded. "I am working on it. But the message is strange, almost like a warning. They are aware of us, but they do not reveal themselves fully. It is deliberate. They want us to know they are ready." The Admiral's face was grim. "Then we are being tested again. And I fear we are not prepared for what comes next." As the night wore on, Lior continued his analysis. He noticed a pattern in the fleet's movements, a subtle rhythm that suggested training, communication, and intelligence beyond what the Empire had faced. The humans were not just a threat, they were a challenge to everything the Empire believed about its own power. Lior whispered to himself, almost in awe, "They are not just building ships, they are building an empire of strategy. And we are standing in their path." Kale looked at the stars beyond the bridge windows, thinking of the countless lives lost and the fleets destroyed. "Prepare all defenses," he ordered quietly. "The humans are no longer a mystery. They are real. And when they move, the galaxy will never be the same." A shiver ran through Lior. Somewhere in the darkness, beyond the known sectors, the humans waited. Silent, unseen, and unstoppable. And the Empire, for all its strength, had no idea what was coming. The day had come. After weeks of careful observation and analysis, the Empire finally prepared its strongest fleet for confrontation. The Imperial Dawn led hundreds of ships into the dark void near the Zyra sector. Every vessel gleamed with polished metal, weapons charged, shields at full strength. Confidence filled the bridge. For the first time, many officers believed they could face the unknown threat. Admiral Kale stood at the front of the command platform, eyes scanning the horizon. "We have studied their fleet. We know their positions. Today, we show the galaxy the might of the Empire," he announced, voice ringing with authority. Lior, standing beside him, studied the data on his console. "Sir, we know where some of their ships are. But the humans are not just hiding. They are calculating. Every move we make will be anticipated. We must proceed carefully." Kale nodded, but the anticipation in the room was palpable. The fleet surged forward, engines humming like a living beast. Communications were open, commands flowing through the lines as every captain prepared to strike. For a moment, it seemed like the Empire could succeed. Then, without warning, the unknown fleet appeared. Ships materialized out of the darkness, faster than the Empire's sensors could track. They glowed with strange energy, their forms sleek and terrifying. The Empire's fleet fired first, volleys of missiles and energy beams streaking toward the enemy. But the attacks were useless. The human-built ships twisted and shifted, avoiding every shot with uncanny precision. Shields absorbed or deflected weapons before they could even make contact. "Sir, they are dodging everything," Lior said, voice tight with disbelief. "Our weapons cannot hit them." The first wave of Imperial ships was destroyed in moments. Explosions lit up space, debris scattering like glitter in zero gravity. Officers screamed over the alarms as ships they had trained on for years disappeared in seconds. Kale gritted his teeth. "Focus all firepower. Do not let them surround us." But the unknown fleet moved like shadows, weaving between Imperial formations. Every attack the Empire launched was anticipated, countered, and turned against them. Ships that tried to flank the enemy were intercepted before they could strike. Every maneuver, every order, every tactic was outmatched. Lior's hands flew over the controls. He analyzed energy patterns, weapon alignments, and fleet positions. Sir, they are thinking 10 steps ahead. Every formation we try, they adapt instantly. This is not just strategy, it is intelligence guiding them in real time. Kale's face grew pale, but he refused to show fear. Then we fight smarter. Concentrate on their lead ships. Break their coordination. It was too late. The unknown fleet executed a devastating attack. Ships exploded in synchronized waves, shields shattered, and fleets crumbled. Even the largest Imperial vessels were torn apart, vaporized in beams of energy that no one had seen before. In the middle of the chaos, Lior noticed something astonishing. The humans were not attacking randomly, they were studying the Empire, probing weak points, testing responses. It was almost as if the battle itself was a game to them. Sir, they are learning from us, Lior shouted. Every attack we make, they adapt. They are not just fighting, they are improving while we struggle. Kale's fists clenched. He could not deny the truth. All units, retreat in formation. Save what we can. But retreat was nearly impossible. The unknown fleet anticipated every movement, cutting off escape routes with devastating precision. Ships collided, shields overloaded, and engines failed under the strain of attacks they could not predict. Within minutes, the Empire's pride, the strongest fleet in the galaxy, was reduced to a scattering of surviving vessels. Lior felt a cold dread settle over him. He had predicted danger, but even he had underestimated their capabilities. The humans were not just powerful, they were perfect in their execution, their timing, and their strategy. Amid the chaos, a faint signal appeared on Lior's console. It was brief, almost a whisper in the communications network, yet unmistakably deliberate. The humans were sending a message, not words, but intent. They were in control, always watching, always calculating. Kale looked out at the devastation, his voice low and trembling. They are beyond anything we imagined. Even our mightiest weapons cannot touch them. For the first time, officers on the bridge felt something they had never known: fear. Not for their lives, but for the Empire itself. Entire sectors could fall, fleets could vanish, and no force in the galaxy seemed capable of stopping these humans. Lior studied the enemy ships as they slowly withdrew, moving back into the darkness from which they had appeared. They are leaving, for now. But they will return. And next time, they will be ready for whatever we plan. Kale turned to him, eyes grim. Prepare all surviving forces. Repair ships, rebuild fleets, and analyze every scrap of data. We have seen their power, and it is a warning. The humans are not just another enemy. They are something new, something we cannot defeat with strength alone. The young officer swallowed hard. He realized the truth. The Empire's dominance, its pride, its history of victories, all of it meant nothing against an enemy who could think faster, strike harder, and disappear without warning. Somewhere out there, in the void, the humans waited. And when they moved again, the galaxy would tremble. As the surviving Imperial ships regrouped, drifting through the wreckage of their pride and fleets, Lior whispered to himself, almost in awe, they are not just a threat. They are a force the galaxy has never seen. And we are not ready for them. The aftermath of the battle was catastrophic. Across the galaxy, news spread faster than any communication network could handle. Entire fleets of the Galactic Empire had been destroyed in a single engagement. Worlds that once cheered for the Empire now whispered fearfully, questioning its strength and dominance. Traders, governors, and distant colonies sent frantic reports. The humans had struck again, and no one could stop them. On the Imperial Dawn, the surviving officers worked in silence. The bridge was quiet, save for the hum of the remaining systems. Admiral Kale stared at the maps that displayed fleet losses, sector by sector. Thousands of ships gone. Thousands of lives lost. And still, the humans remained unseen, waiting in the shadows. Lior stood beside him, analyzing the latest sensor readings. Sir, the humans are not attacking directly anymore, he said. But they are sending signals. Energy pulses, coded transmissions. They are warning us. Kale frowned. Warning us? Or mocking us? Lior shook his head. I think it is both. They want the galaxy to know that they are in control, that the Empire is no longer the strongest. It is a message, careful, deliberate, and terrifying. In the Imperial Council chambers, debates raged. Ministers argued over retaliation, fleet rebuilding, and diplomatic responses. Some insisted on immediate counterattacks, claiming the Empire's honor must be defended. Others warned that attacking humans directly could provoke an even more destructive response. Panic was spreading among the leaders as fast as it had among the fleets. Have we underestimated them? One council member asked sharply. Entire fleets wiped out in minutes? Ships destroyed before our weapons even hit. Yes, Kale said quietly, his voice carrying over the chamber. We have. And this is only the beginning. The humans are not just powerful, they are intelligent. They have studied us, predicted our moves, and punished us for our arrogance. Lior added, they are not building weapons for simple conquest. They are sending a message. The galaxy must understand that humans are a force beyond our comprehension. If we do not adapt, we will lose everything. Meanwhile, in distant colonies, governors and fleet commanders watched the aftermath in horror. Citizens who had once trusted the Empire now questioned its ability to protect them. Alliances began to waver. Some systems considered negotiating with the humans themselves, hoping to avoid destruction. The political stability that had once been the Empire's strength now teetered on the edge of collapse. On the Imperial Dawn, Lior detected another signal, a clearer transmission this time. It was directed at the Empire, but it contained no words. Instead, it was a pattern of energy pulses, repeating in an unmistakable rhythm. Lior studied it, his fingers moving quickly over the console. It's a warning, or a challenge. They are demonstrating power, showing that they can strike at any time. They are teaching the galaxy that resistance is futile. Kale's eyes darkened. They want fear to spread. They want the Empire to know that no fleet, no weapon, no strategy can stand against them alone. They are forcing us to rethink everything, our plans, our alliances, even our own technology. Lior's mind raced. He imagined the humans, watching silently from hidden sectors, analyzing the Empire's every move, waiting for weaknesses. They were patient, precise, and terrifyingly intelligent. Sir, he said, we can rebuild fleets, develop new weapons, but it will not be enough. They are always ahead. The only way to survive is to think like them, to predict like them, to outsmart them. Kale turned to him, his expression grim. Then we must learn fast. Study everything we have, anticipate every possibility, and prepare for the next strike. Humanity has changed the rules of war. And if we fail to adapt, the Empire may fall. Across the galaxy, the humans' message spread. Traders, scouts, and colonies reported sightings of strange energy patterns, fleeting glimpses of massive ships, and pulses that defied known physics. Whispers of human power became rumors, and rumors became fear. Entire sectors began to question their loyalty to the Empire. Some even considered that perhaps it was humans, not the Empire, who would dominate the stars in the years to come. In the quiet of the Imperial Dawn, Lior stared at the stars. Somewhere out there, the humans were moving, hidden yet everywhere, calculating yet patient. He felt a chill in his chest, not of fear for himself, but for the Empire. Thousands of lives had been lost, fleets destroyed, and yet, he knew the humans had only begun to show their strength. Kale approached him, voice low and firm. Lior, we are facing something we cannot defeat with weapons alone. We must outthink them. Every decision, every battle, every move, must be precise. One mistake, and the Empire will fall. Lior nodded. Yes, sir. And we will find a way. But the humans, they are not just a new enemy. They are a force that will reshape the galaxy forever. As the stars shimmered outside, A faint pulse of energy flashed on Lior's console. The humans had sent another signal. Quiet, deliberate, and unrelenting. The message was clear. They were watching, waiting, and in control. And the Empire, no matter how mighty, would never forget the lesson of the first battle. Somewhere in the void, beyond the reach of sensors and fleets, the humans prepared for the next phase. And the galaxy, trembling in fear and awe, could only watch.